Hey everybody, Trevor here. Today we're going to take a look at how you can use ChatGPT to help learn AWS. Interesting topic. John showed me this idea a few weeks ago, and it was kind of like a light bulb moment for me. So, John, go ahead and introduce yourself and let them know what we're going to take a look at.
Hi, I'm John Gamble. I'm a senior principal cloud architect. I've been in this role for around 5 years, and before that, had various cloud roles. And I've been using uh, ChatGPT in at work and in my own projects to kind of understand and have it craft AWS architectures for me from generating the Terraform, which I like Terraform's infrastructure as code, but it can do CloudFormation. It can also tell me how much it costs to run. I thought that was really interesting. So hopefully we can try a high level architecture and have it tell us all the components it would select from AWS to make it, what it would cost to run a month, and what it looks like deploy it with infrastructure as code.
Love it. I love it. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. And this topic excites me because I'm thinking I learned AWS as an engineer who's been in this business for a while, but I constantly get like messages on LinkedIn from people that are like really kind of simple questions of like, hey, I'm having issues with CloudFront reaching an S3 bucket. And it's like cores needs to be enabled, something like that. But
Yep.
I could really see like just having ChatGPT up beside of you whenever you're playing around in the console to ask little questions to just really accelerate the amount of time it takes for you to, or reduce the amount of time it takes for you, I should say,
Oh
to
yeah.
learn and get stuff launched. So
Yeah.
um, let's
Especially.
see what it can do for us today.
All right. Yeah. Let's take a look. Let's see. Can you design an application that uses AWS is an API that can be called externally from mobile applications, and that can support 10,000 users per day, like a DB backend and a S3 bucket for static content. And you can also, okay, we'll start with that. See
Cool.
what it does.
Design AWS. I like this because you gave it a lot of flexibility, but you gave it a little detail. Like I want
Right.
DynamoDB and S3. So let's see what it gives us here. Boom. API. That's what I would have chosen. API
Yep.
gateway. And Lambda. Yes. ChatGPT knows.
Right. It's pretty amazing. So if you were having trouble figuring out like what this might look like and what services you might use, this could call that out, and then you could have that first discussion with the cloud team on how to get from your uh, your architectural concept to an actual running application in AWS.
I guess it makes it so that way you can kind of work backwards. Like I have a project that I want to build. I'm not sure
Yeah,
how to build it, and this can help get the gears turning to get that started.
I think that's important. You work backwards from the thing that you want to see in the world and be what's the first abstraction I can pull away from that, and that's this, and it's pretty interesting. So let's see what it came up with. It gave us a high level architectural overview, which is pretty interesting. It kind of restated what we asked, which I like that, and then it said use API gateway and Lambda and DynamoDB and S3 bucket, and then it needs IAM.
So a very typical kind of serverless architecture, and then it proceeds to tell you not just the design, but the implementation, how it would scale. I mean, I'm a solutions
Yep.
architect. Should I be worried about this thing taking my job or what? This gave a lot more detail than I might.
I
And
I think it can help
yeah,
solutions architects for sure, and I don't think it can replace one per se. I think
no,
you still have to have the input and then kind of understand like what's correct and what's not correct. And I think the next section we're going to challenge it to go ahead and output us a CloudFormation uh, stack set that will launch this. And we'll see just how far away from that it is. So
let's give that a try. I want to see if it can give us something that we can deploy. That'd be killer. Certainly seems confident.
it does.
Did we tell it
So we got
a language for the Lambda?
pages. We did not. So let's
Oh,
see if it
cool.
comes
So
up with
let's see what it
yeah,
picks. I'm rooting for Python, but I bet it picks Node.js.
you probably know it. Yeah, it's creating a role and it's attaching managed policies. I like to see that. Yep,
There it is,
Node.js.
Node.js. Yeah. Wow, this is it. It really is wild that you can just give it like a simple like I want to build this type of app, and then now help me deploy this like as a learning tool. Like I mean, because then you could pick this up, and this is also a serverless app, so it'd be really cheap to run. Like you could probably keep it within free tier at the very least dollars to run this.
I,
And
I I think if we asked it how much it would cost us to run this a month, it would tell us.
I bet I hope so. If it can write CloudFormation, I hope it can do a cost analysis.
And that's normally we'd have to hit the AWS cost calculator and put in all of these different parameters and really kind of understand our solution to get this kind of information. So this is kind of amazing. If there's a weakness on cost, it's that it lost its connection to the internet sometime in 2021, and it doesn't have updated AWS pricing. They lower their prices constantly, so it could overestimate a little bit, but not probably not that much.
I mean, I'm just thinking like because this we started with an architecture, we got CloudFormation, now we have a cost analysis, so you can go from just an idea to figuring out how much it would cost for you to run it in your lab, CloudFormation to deploy it, and even still, like you could just keep asking it questions, like we mentioned,
Yeah,
it's written in Node.js. Maybe you're a learner who hasn't used JavaScript, but maybe you are starting to try to learn Python. You could do the same
yeah.
thing. Hey, change this to Python, and then maybe it's code that you'll understand a little bit better. Or you can just keep digging and asking it questions. And I mean, it just seems way more efficient than how folks like you and I must have learned this stuff, right? Which is Stack Overflow, Reddit, calling friends, reading documentation.
Basically, searching Google and Stack Overflow. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just kind of like that's just kind of how I learned and picked up things, and then watched others that had more experience than myself. And I actually went to a Terraform training back in the .7 days. It was in person, and you just don't have to do any of that kind of very heavy. It was like a 4 day course. It was very intense. You don't have to do that anymore. Now it's writing instead of CloudFormation, it's writing me Terraform, and instead of Node.js, it's going to use Python. So it's if you're building a solution and you're familiar with one or the other, you can have it output something you're familiar with it. If you've just gotten a new job and you're familiar with one, you can take your Terraform and you can say, hey, can you make this into CloudFormation for me? And it will do that too. So it'll help you be kind of bimodal that way, and you can tune to whatever the organization you belong to is looking for. I think that's super useful.
I just love this as like a learning use case, right? Because like obviously, you know, maybe you ask ChatGPT for some code, and then and maybe it gives you something that's not perfect, and so it's easy to criticize that if the use case is rolling code into production. But if the use case is just learning yourself, honestly, when you do your real job, you're gonna see bad code. You're gonna
Oh yeah,
go to a forum and you're gonna get a CloudFormation template that's not gonna work. And so, so first of all, I mean, it looks pretty accurate already just from the syntax and everything. But I just feel like we had to learn this stuff the hard way. Like I almost wonder if we don't have like superhuman engineers in like 5 or 10 years because of how much faster they can learn. But also, I mean, I'm gonna go look at getting a ChatGPT Plus subscription after this so I can start using some of this stuff in my day-to-day work because I honestly haven't. I People mention integrating it, but I haven't slowed down enough to actually take the time to do it. But it's so obviously valuable.
it's a really nice set of shoulders to stand on. So I think that's the important thing to remember. It's not delivering you production or really even functional code. It's to kind of remove that block from I'm staring at a blank terminal window, and I have to convert this abstract architecture into resources and modules or into a stack set. It's designed to take that block away. So now all you're doing is pair programming, and then you're coming in and you're basically correcting a merge request, to make it right. So you've got the mental overhead has just been really lowered, I think, um, to get something out the door.
Is there anything else like I mean, you've been playing with this a lot more than me. Is there anything else that you've been surprised by, or that you think other that folks should explore to help them learn, and just maybe questions that a beginner might want to ask?
Yeah, I think if you have a design or an app that and you don't know where to start, I think that's a good this is a good thing to bring it to. So you like I do let's say you want it to be an AWS and you know kind of like what the premise is, but you don't know what any of the back end's going to look like. You can have it design that for you. And then let's say this is wrong. Let's say you don't want to go serverless. You want to go all on EC2, and you want to use MySQL. You want to use relational databases. You can say, hey, can you rewrite this architecture using that sort of these more this is more classic architecture, virtual machines and things like that. Or you can say, hey, what's this look like running on a Kubernetes cluster? What's this look like in and all that? Can you do that? Can you make me a Helm chart? Can you launch all these things for Kubernetes for me? And it could do that too. So it's pretty flexible. And once you have kind of the architecture and then you have kind of the components of it, you can say, hey, what does it look like if I change these components? What does it cost me to run this way? And it's amazingly flexible, and and that's sort of like do I have my own wheelhouse, and sometimes I have difficult getting out of that comfort zone and exploring other ideas, and this really helps with that in a way that says, well, maybe I'm not as familiar with Kubernetes, but I like serverless a lot. I mean, it can help me bridge that gap and kind of understand what this looks like there too. I think that's amazing.
And even so one thing I've seen people do is like if ChatGPT gives you an answer that's like a little over your head, you could just say like explain this to me like a little simpler, right? Or like I'm a beginner, right?
Oh, that's true. Yes, absolutely. So yeah, and we can do that actually right now. I mean, like, can you explain what uh, Terraform does?
Yeah, that's beautiful, right? Because if you've never used Terraform before, these are like fundamental ideas of the providers and the resources and how it all works. So you can really reverse engineer stuff for your own learning.
I like that a lot. In fact, I was having a conversation the other day about this very thing, and somebody was really concerned about them rewriting papers for schoolwork, and I was like, well, let's ask like what it changed and why,
Yeah.
and that's this kind of insight, right? We can take a look at okay, why did you pick this resource? What does it do? Why did you do this? And it's fine in telling us exactly that. So now there's no, and if I'm curious, I can say, well, what is a Terraform resource? I can just dive into it and say, and now I've got not only the Terraform, but I've also got some history, some background to talk intelligently about this to my peers or to whatever audience I'm bringing my architecture to.
Such an awesome tool. I mean, this thing just really took the internet by storm, right? But like
Yeah, it's
the
been amazing.
the level of advancement that just happens so quickly, and man, just as a learning tool, like you said. I mean, at the end of the day, the cat's out of the bag in terms of the whole argument of like, what if people use this for their school assignments? Like that's gonna happen. So we got to figure out how to adapt to that versus trying to prevent it, because Pandora's box is open. So
Right.
we gotta roll with it.
I think thinking of it as a professor or as a peer, and instead of something that might, um, you know, threaten our jobs is probably the best way to go.
Yeah.
On your resume, eventually, it's going to be, do you work well with AI? And I think
Yeah.
that's something you're going to want to answer yes to.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. Especially if you're being interviewed by an AI, which you never know. You
You
never
never
know.
know. So true.
Oh, very cool, John. Hey, that was a really compelling demo. I'm inspired, man. I'm inspired.
Awesome.
I'm gonna start using this more in my day to day. What else you got for everybody? What else do people need to know about you, Chat GPT, what you're doing in the community?
Yeah, so right now I'm in Amarillo, Texas, and I'm building a community here of cloud interested and curious folks that are, various skill levels, and we've started a meetup called Amarillo Cloud Hub. You can find us at Facebook/Amarillo Cloud Hub and Linktree/Amarillo or /Yellow Cloud Hub. Excuse me, and feel free to reach out and connect with us. We've got a meetup on February 23rd. But if you can't make that, just send us a note and we'll catch up with you online. I think that's the best way you can help us out. It's just encouragement and support.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, John. Thanks for all the help that you give the folks in the community. Hey, if you thought this was interesting, let us know what questions you're asking ChatGPT about your AWS architectures, or maybe other ideas you have that could help learners that are going down this journey. Because I think we just barely scratched the surface today. This could go much further.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, John.
All right. To you.